In the beginning, people said, "My God, you're going to a Western country. You have to." Well, I said, when I was already in Colombia for 2 years, and during that time, student years, in the Big Apple, I wore sari all the time and walked the streets. So I said, what the hell, I'm not going to change. My name is Madhu Nambiar, Iyer. That's my maiden name. I was born in Bombay, then it was known as Bombay, now it's called Mumbai. I was born during the Depression years, when life was, even the Depression affected not only the Western world, it was affecting the Eastern world too. So anyway, I was one of 6 siblings. I was the middle sibling. My sari wearing started when I came to Bombay and started my college. That was in 46. I was 16, 17, and I was fully developed by that time. And my mother gave me my first sari, and of course I had seen my sister wearing sari, so she helped me to, drape it on. Well, in the beginning, you have to learn to be comfortable in a sari, because it's 6 yards to begin with, and the maintenance is a big issue. Of course, it so happened, being a middle class, we could afford a servant who could, wash our clothes, and they came twice a day and did all the housework for us. So maintaining sari was not an issue, but to learn to be comfortable with it, was always. And then, of course, as a teenager, you're looking around, oh, so-and-so has bought this sari, the design, the colors, the fabric. I mean, of course, you could desire for it, but we couldn't afford it, So, but of course, my taste for sari developed then. The saris that I have accumulated over the years are always related to a special occasion. For example, your birthday, you always anticipated something new. Sari is always the focus, because that's something that you present yourself wherever you go. So we girls were always expecting a sari, no matter what, I mean, ornaments came, a gold bangle or a ring or a chain is okay, but sari is always special. I was shaped by India's independence movement. When Mahatma Gandhi was our leader, was telling the women to get out and fight for the country's freedom and for the country's development and progress. And it was during that time that I met my husband, who was also a college student. So we kind of formed a group called the Young Socialist Group. We were very idealistic. We wanted to change the world. We wanted to fight corruption. Even though India had gained independence in 1947, the young leadership had a lot to learn. Basically, we demonstrated on the street practically every month. My parents were not very happy about it, but believe it or not, it was my mother who was much more progressive. than my father, who was very much, he wanted us to learn English. He said, well, we should be trained, we should be what he called groomed for the British civil service, so which British had already set up in the country. Conflicting values within the family system that I had to face. So in terms of my favorite saris, the one that my husband gave it to me, it's still with me. It's almost falling apart, but I want to keep it till, I want it to go onto my grave. Anyway, yeah. Well, we started dating, I met him in 48, around maybe 51, 52, year 52, yeah. And we got married in 55, 1955, yeah. He was, let's say, he was a colorful character, a kind of a complex personality, but there was always excitement around him. My husband, who came from a different caste, because I was born a traditional Brahmin. My mother, she asked me, where did you get this sari from? I said, well, friends of mine, friends got together, it was close to my birthday or something, so they bought it for me, Sari was very special to me because generally, traditionally, the saris are given by the family members, but not by the father. Usually the mother, the aunt, the grandmother, or a sister. Yes, it's a women's, area. So this sari was very expensive, and of course I dare not ask him, how did he manage, because he was a student too. So it was what they call pure khadi silk, and this was the silk and cotton that Gandhiji promoted. He said, don't buy foreign, thing, this is homemade, you weave your own saris, cottons. So in many ways it was a very special kind of a sari, yeah. I mean, he was okay as a family friend, but not as a husband to their daughter. So my parents were very unhappy about it. My parents really kind of divorced me, They were very, very heartbroken, especially my father. He says, you can do anything, but don't do this. Never marry outside of the caste, especially for a girl, The only person in my family who supported the marriage was my older brother. And we have been close since then, because he had traveled abroad, and so he was much more broad-minded than the rest of the family. So I didn't take any of my good saris. I just walked out with a cotton sari to get married. So all my silks were left behind. But ultimately, my mother kind of softened up and invited me. And once my daughter was born, the ice melted, and things kind of, they dearly loved her. He dressed very well, lived in style, and as the eulogy said, he died in style. Because we were returning from a marriage reception, believe it or not, and he just collapsed. Had a massive brain stroke, The sari that I am showing it to you now was gifted to me by my social work colleagues as a farewell gift when that was my final job in Bombay. To describe the sari, it's not a very expensive one, but it's a pure, what they call fine voile with a little bit of a gold border, and I cherish it. because it was a gift from my colleagues. Now that brings back a lot of memories of my work life in Mumbai. I graduated from the School of Social Work, Graduate School of Social Work in December of 1952. Then I did some internship which was required for about a year and a half. My full-time professional job started in April of 1954 when I joined the Children's Aid Society of Bombay as a probation and a child welfare officer. I was on this job from 1954 to 1960 as a senior social worker. I had established a new school of social work in downtown Bombay, and it was organized by the Catholic Mission. They were known as the Daughters of the Sacred Heart of Mary. And so the students from that school used to come for their fieldwork training to my institution. That's how I got acquainted with the School of Social Work, which was known as Nirmala Niketan, the House of Purity. So the students apparently must have gone back and said, oh my God, you know, I wish we had Mrs. Nambiar as a professor. She is so good in teaching us. So when a vacancy came up, I was approached whether I would be interested in teaching. So I just grabbed the job because at that time, Glima was only 1 year old. She was born in 59, so she was 1 year old. And I thought, you know, I would get, in terms of privileges and advantages of this job was you had a fairly lengthy vacation. You have to do a lot of hard work, you know, teaching at a graduate level is no fun. But I took the challenge and I was there from 1960 to 67, 7 years. Yeah, we flew from Montreal to Winnipeg to Brandon. And when we flew to Brandon, it was a two-seater plane. It was one of those, you know, what you call baby planes or whatever you would call. And Glima was saying, Mummy, this is not a plane, this is a helicopter. It's a helicopter we are flying. And when we landed in Brandon, she said, Mummy, this looks like a cowshed. Brandon. And my husband said, where are God's creations? There are no people in Brandon, city of 46,000 friendly people. And where were they? They were all spread all the farms and, you know, it was an all-white community. In terms of the sari, you know, I selected the sari because it was fairly simple and it was silk. And silk often wear very well. They don't crease that much like cotton. You have to, you know, iron it and what you call starch it. Silk is always easy to maintain. Of course, journey takes what? A day and a half. The sari served me very well, and I wore the same sari when I started work on September the 11th. So it played a very prominent role. I still have it. It's kind of a little frayed at the end, but I can conceal it very well. So I put it away. I said, my God, I can't part with this one. Yeah. I think the 60s, social work, trained social workers were a rare phenomenon in Canada, I believe. And of course, also Trudeau had opened doors for, you know, immigration. Regarding masters, they were very rare to get a master's. Attire? Sari. I wore the sari. Oh yeah. And that was a novelty. I remember, you know, in office interviews, they were more interested in my attire rather than talking about their problem. Then I have to tell them, you know, I'm so glad I give them what I bought, you know, how I wear it. And after that, let's come to your problem. What is it you're here for, you know? So that was kind of the fun part of it. But it was not a handicap in any way. Of course, the rest of the staff would watch what I was wearing, you know. They'll say, Madhu, do you ever wear the same sari any other day, you know? I wore I had enough supply of saris, yeah. And people are very friendly, yeah, very friendly, yeah. The stereotype attitude was more or less, you know, that you're not educated, or you were not, you came from another country, you didn't speak the language. So very often the Westerners had a patronizing attitude towards women who are wearing saris. And I've had a couple of instances, I think I had shared with you, where in Sears, the woman, I wanted to get a card, and the woman was very patronizing. She said, "Shall I fill it out for you?" I said, "No, I could do it, So when she saw that I was educated, her whole attitude changed. That kind of a thing. And of course, very often I've been asked, "Do you speak English?" Of course, sometimes I can get a little naughty, and say, "I speak Queen's English, My friends will prevail on me. "Madhu, why don't you try the sari? So, you're struggling with it, I said, "Okay, I will wear one day." I wore, I think, a few times. And the first time I wore, I was in my office and I was doing some desk work. My boss walks in. He looks at me, friend. He said, "What? Who is this? I don't recognize this person. Where is your sari?" I said, "Well, you look at outside, Leon. It's so bad. I thought of wearing slacks. Go back to your sari." Something like that, Well, first of all, I was well endowed with saris. Why would I buy something when I really had something? And then I got used to it. It was part of me. It was part of my character. Thought of abandoning it. First of all, to me, it was very functional. I was well appreciated that the saris I wore, and they said, "What a beautiful." That was a compliment to me too, So it was part of my, I guess, self-image, I guess, yeah. I'll talk about my most favorite sari, which is a heavy-duty silk from southern India. It's a very rich sari in the sense I wouldn't wear it for any ordinary birthday party or a New Year party. Meant for wedding. I've worn it several times for weddings here in Canada and in India too. Whenever I've gone, there is a family wedding, I've worn it. And my husband loved it too, so I think whenever we went together, he loved to see me wearing it. By the way, he was a connoisseur of art, so he loved colors, and this was also his favorite sari, yeah. 1971, the year we returned to India, I didn't own many, so-called quality saris. Most of my saris were like, ordinary silks that I would wear on work day and a couple of, heavy duty. So my husband said, "Let's buy some nice saris." I think we bought it in Chennai, where it is famous for the, southern silks. Gold, not so much silver among the southern people. It's gold. Gold ornaments, gold everything, and you can see it in saris too. And now, of course, gold is still very, very valued kind of a commodity. I remember that wedding. It was my friend. They were working with me at the Health Sciences Center. So it was their daughter who got married. So it was a real gala wedding in the Fort Garry Hotel. So I wore that sari that evening. And with that, I think I even danced, I think. My not wearing saris was a gradual process actually. When I stopped working, I did wear saris more frequently than I do now. What I found was, since I wasn't kind of going out every day, maintaining a sari was, I got out of habit, let's put it that way. And then, of course, I found, traveling. I was traveling much more than after retirement. But even now, I don't say I stopped. I do wear them, on occasions. I remember the last time I was wearing for a musical concert here in Montreal, and I found the sari so heavy. Not only heavy, and the width and the length were, I think I might have shrunk or something. And it has stood so many invasions. Arabic, Islamic invasion, Mughal invasion, of course, Anglo invasion, but the sari has survived. But in some way, it is also evolving. That's the way I would describe it. But I don't think it will ever go out of fashion anytime. I do see my saris as a work of art and what do you call possessions that I will never part with. I'm emotionally attached to them. Each sari has a memory. The saris were integral part of my upbringing, in a way part of my personality. They've shaped me in many ways, and through life experiences, intimate relationships. So saris are here to stay with Madhu.